right, so I want to start my set by having all of you take a big breath in and hold it. Hold it. Keep holding. Check your neighbor, are they holding their breath? Okay, I heard someone laugh, you're not holding your breath. Why am I having you hold your breath? Well, as the opener, it's my job to deprive you of oxygen to ensure you have a good time tonight. I didn't say to breathe, who's laughing? Keep hold. Okay, yes, please breathe already. Thank you for standing up to the scientist up here. Yes, please breathe. I wanted you to hold your breath, not pass out, because that's called autocomic asphyxiation, and that's a different show, and you have to pay a lot more money for those tickets. So why did I have you guys hold your breath? Well, I want you to think about what it felt like. It was kind of easy at first, but you had to think about it. And then the more that you did it, it kind of got harder to keep doing it. You felt the pressure building up. And then when I finally let you breathe, or this brave soul let you breathe, you kind of breathe a little bit heavier, and it felt like a release valve. Breathing's so easy when you don't have to think about it. Well, if you replace breathing with tics, you now know what it feels like to have Tourette syndrome. I know, because I have Tourette syndrome. Or its full name, Gilles de la Tourette syndrome. I feel like half of you right here right now are like, is she a French fish? And the other half of you are waiting for the F-bombs to start. Well, first of all, let me tell you what Tourette's is. Tourette's is a neurodevelopmental condition that's characterized by involuntary motor and vocal tics. I know a lot of people have tics, but the difference between that and Tourette's is, with Tourette's you have to be noticeably weird. Okay, hold on, Taylor. Now, everybody in here thinks that they have Tourette's. These are people who came to a science comedy show on a Saturday night. They're noticeably weird. You guys don't have Tourette's. I will clarify further. So Tourette's is where you have to have motor and vocal tics multiple times a day, every single day for over a year. And you have to be under age 18. So you guys are so close. You're so young. It's so beautiful. Now, the thing is, people with Tourette's also oftentimes have comorbid conditions, so like OCD, ADHD, anxiety, learning disorders, and myself having an MD and a PhD, I would say my learning disorder was not knowing how to stop. But when I say noticeably weird, I'm going to show you what I mean. So let's all hop into that time machine that I brought and go back to the worst era, middle school. Oh good, you guys had a bad one too. That's great, you're gonna really vibe with this. So this was me in 4th grade. I had some simple tics, which involved one motor group. So I had this one, and then I had this. And then after I got a cold, right, a runny nose, I got a little bit of this sticking around. So this one got so far. And then I had some complex tics as well. And that involves multiple motor muscle groups. And so that one I had to do recurrent air swallowing, followed by air expulsion, which is the most science Riot way to describe burping. So I was a stressed out Valley Girl bunny rabbit who sounded like a belching drunk. I was not cool. Yeah. Now, let's get to the tic everybody wants to talk about, the swearing, the profanity. That is perhaps the most fun part of Tourette's, so the media loves to show it to you guys. And I hate to tell you, it's actually quite rare. It's a form of Tourette's called coprolalia, and I myself have only had it one time in my entire life, and that is when I was in high school. My mom was really pissing me off, and I turned around and I said, "What the bleep, Mom? Tourette's card." Use that once. So now that you guys understand what Tourette's is, I want to get into the mechanism behind it, starting with how our brains make us move. So the simplest way to put it is that we don't really understand it, but what we do know is there's a part of our brain called the basal ganglia, and you can think about it as like a government, but not our government, a functional government. So maybe not a government at all, actually, but like a government, it has different departments within it, and these are called nuclei. And so the president of the brain, the cortex, says, "Let's make the leg move." It sends a message to the basal ganglia. And then the basal ganglia sends a message around a bunch of different nuclei. And there's excitatory pro-movement messages and inhibitory anti-movement messages. And then the excitations inhibit the inhibitors, and the inhibitors then inhibit. And it's very complicated and redundant. So again, it may be exactly like a government. But ultimately, the message gets sent, and then we get cool, sweet karate moves. Okay, so you guys didn't notice, I forgot to tell you, I'm still very uncool. So, how do these messages get sent? It's through a neurotransmitter, a chemical messenger in your brain, and it's called dopamine. So dopamine in the basal ganglia is what makes us move. So now let's talk about what has gone so wrong in my brain. You guys are like, we would love to know. Well, we don't really know. My therapist has been trying to figure out for many years. In fact, this is actually a very active area of research. As soon as I became a legal adult, I was a senior in high school, because I got a letter from Harvard. I had been accepted to their brain donor program. Okay, sir, I feel like you kind of give me this look. It's a post-mortem brain donation. There is still something out there, I promise. So, what we do know is the basal ganglia, that government, you know, in the Tourette's brain, you can think about it as sort of like a post-Doge era. Sure, it was a little inefficient to start with, and maybe we could have made it work a little bit better, but once you start going in and just cutting out certain parts, and you're fucked. That was not Tourette's. All right, so on top of that, I also have a lot of dopamine in my brain. I am hella dope, technically. I'm not cool, but technically I'm dope. So I have tons of this, it makes me move a lot. But you know, dopamine does a few other things in your brain too. It's involved in mood and reward, so it's why we like sugar so much. It's why we like forbidden sugar so much. Cocaine. And it's also why some people are very addicted to TikTok. I personally have enough tics in my life already. Now, it's also, oddly enough, dopamine is also involved in lactation. More dopamine, less lactating. I think we're okay. So, you know, we don't really understand exactly what is going on in the brain of people with Tourette's. However, this did not stop my mother from using it as her own personal DARE program. Yeah, so growing up, my mom told me that if I took any substances that messed with my already messed up brain, I wouldn't fare so well, ultimately. So this lasted for a little while, until I designed my own neuroscience course in high school to understand how my brain worked. And my friends, that is when I learned that weed is medicinal for Tourette's. So if we have parents out there in the audience, I would like to remind you, you can raise smart children, or you can lie to them, but you can't do both. All right, well, so what do I really want to leave you with tonight? Well, I want you to know that what Tourette's is, and that it's not just swearing, but most importantly, I want to promote the message about how important science communication is. And for me, that's because at the age of 10, like all good superheroes, this was forced upon me. At the age of 10, I was diagnosed with a condition that I had to wear on the outside. I thought about hiding it, but if you remember, it wasn't happening. So I embraced it, and I gave a presentation, less fun than this, I think, but to my class growing up, and all of a sudden, I gained so much confidence, and my classmates were all of a sudden defending me to people who were making fun of my Tourette's. And I learned through science communication that you can change the world. And after that, I got a degree in neuroscience, I did an MD, PhD, and now I get to spend a lot of my life helping to promote science communication through Laughter with Science Riot. And so I want to thank you all for being here tonight. And I want you guys to release your basal ganglias, let that dopamine fly, and put your hands together for all the great performers you're going to see tonight. Thank you so much.